one offense that's scoring 29.8 points a game, almost 30. Then you have one scoring 30.5 points a game. So this is going to be a well-fought contest. I think it's going to come down to the last possession. And it might be the key is who gets that one turnover or who makes that team punts more than 2 times.
How much should we be looking at Lamar Jackson in this game and really using that to judge or gauge where he is and how the level of maturity that he's putting forth at the quarterback position? My position has been, we know how tremendous of an athlete he is, how elusive he is, running on the field as a quarterback, just because he could run better than most running backs, and crying out loud. One of the greatest runners we've ever seen at the quarterback position, if not the greatest. But I still want to see him throw the football effectively, and I think that we need to see that in this game in order to judge him appropriately. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that's a good comment, Stephen. It's, you look at, what Greg Roman has done with this offense for Lamar Jackson. To me, Lamar Jackson is going to throw the ball well during the regular season. I think Lamar Jackson is going to be more. We all believe, unless the wheels fall off of both these teams will be in the postseason. I think Lamar Jackson is going to be more graded and looked at in the postseason. He's thrown the ball well during the regular the season. Both these teams have always played well. He's always played well against the Steelers for the most part. But I think once they get to the postseason, that's when we're going to start looking at Lamar Jackson and saying, okay, is it going to be like year 1 and year 2? Or we're going to see a Lamar Jackson that's grown and it's more mature in the postseason, because we know that the level itself is increased. I think Lamar Jackson is going to play do extremely well tonight, against the Steelers. He's a good player. He's a dynamic player. The one thing that their offense does more than any other offense in the National Football League, they make sure that the defense, everybody's on point. Everybody has to understand their assignments, because if you're one assignment off and too many guys go into the ball, Lamar Jackson's going to pull it in those RPOs and zone reads and take off down the middle of the field or on the sideline, and you won't catch him.
Speaking of RPOs, that hasn't been working as well for the Steelers. But Roethlisberger, and Stephen A. brought this up the other day, he goes from a guy early in his career who held the ball. He held the ball forever. He's a big, strong guy, a football player, to a guy who's getting rid of the ball quickly. So as all great players, he's evolved over time. Where do you think Roethlisberger is now? I know he's coming off the catastrophic injury, missed a year, but where do you think he is now compared to him at his best? How close is he?
I was asked this last year, who's the best quarterback in Steeler history? And I said Terry Bradshaw. But then when I look at how Ben has played this year and how he's transformed his game after the major injury, I'm going with Big Ben. Is this to the fact that he's always been throwing the ball down the field. He's an accurate thrower. He's a big body guy. Obviously when we get older as players, you don't want to take those hits in the pocket as a quarterback. And he's done a tremendous job of getting rid of the football. I mean, just the way they march down the field and control the tempo of the game and keep the opposing offense on the sideline is a benefit to the defense. And then the defense comes in more refreshed, and then they play at a lights out level. So, I look at the history of what the Steelers have done. I look at the history of what Terry Bradshaw has done. But Big Ben is the best quarterback the Pittsburgh Steelers have ever had, just for the fact that he has transformed himself to a down-the-field thrower, holding on to the ball extremely longer than he had to at times, to getting rid of the football when he coming back from that injury from last year. I just think that he is the catalyst of that offense, and as he goes, the offense will go.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because 7 of his touchdowns, he's gotten rid of the ball inside of 2 seconds. So I definitely get where you're coming from. That's a good point on your part. I will ask you about the Steelers secondary, though. And I always bring this up because Mike Tomlin, my brother, he always gotten on me.
Get off this.
Listen, let me explain. Their defense overall is no joke. And Rod, you can appreciate this because you were so elite at playing the position. You can have athleticism. You can have speed. You can have knowledge. My problem with the Steelers secondary has
Here it
religiously been. They too damn short. I mean, they're just too damn short,
for
bro.
years.
I mean, I've been harping on this for years because in the end, on many occasions, when you tell me I'm wrong about this, Rob, when you watch the Steelers and they end up giving a good play, it's rare that they're not around the ball. It's rare that they've missed the coverage or an assignment or anything like that. It's just somebody was able to go up and get it compared to them because of those daggone short corners. What do you say to that, Rob?
Okay, my question to you would be, what is short in the National Football League as a corner?
Right.
To me, I guess if you 5'10",
what's his size?
if you less than 5'10", how about that? How about that?
Well, I mean, first of all, Mika is a baller at safety.
No, I'm not talking about him.
Secondly, most outstanding corners are all around 5'10-ish, 5'11". When you start getting over 6 foot for a corner, they're different dynamics come into play. Now, with the Steelers and the way they play, it's all about their rush, their linebackers and their secondary. Your rush helps your secondary, help your coverage, and your coverage helps your rush. That's been the philosophy with the Pittsburgh Steelers since Chuck Noll was there.
Yep.
Bill Cowher, and now Mike Tomlin.
That's right.
So, I don't really have a problem with smaller corners as long as they don't play small. And normally when you watch them play, when you watch Sutton play, you watch Nelson play, you watch all those guys, Hayden play, they don't play small. And since they don't play small, I'm okay with it. But now if you're 5'10" and you play like you 5'6", well, I got an issue with it. Or if you 6'5" or 6'3" as a corner and you play like you 5'8", I got an issue with you.
If you're 6'3",
I just want
you're
one
a receiver.
Of them. Just one of them. Can one of them be our height? Just one of them. Just one of them be our height. Just one of them.
Unless
you want one guy to be 6'2" and a baller?
Mike Tomlin got cats at the corner shorter than him. I mean, I've been bringing this up for years.
And you know it's
true.
You won't get off it.
And I won't get off of it because when it really, really counts, there's always an opposition with a big receiver, and they just throw the ball up sometimes.
Who do you want? Who do you want the Steelers to
You got the number one total defense in the National Football League. You got a defense that only gives up 19.7 points a game.
Greedy.
What else do you want?
I love them. They know that. I got love for them. Joe Hayden's my boy. I see him. I used to see he don't show up to the Cavaliers games anymore. He used to show up there when LeBron was there. He don't show up to there. He don't show up to those games anymore. But I love these guys. But damn it, they just too short.
Let me ask about Lamar Jackson. I want to get back to that for a second because Stephen A. will not give this like a dog with a bone. He won't give up with the short secondary as a Steelers fan.
I just want some height.
Corners are short compared to receivers.
It's not the size that counts, guys.
Look, Lamar Jackson is almost undefeated against the NFL in the regular season. It's unbelievable, the record. And yet, in his biggest games, 3 against the Chiefs, 2 in the playoffs, he's 0-5. I would count this game among those. This is Ravens Steelers, but with Ben Roethlisberger. I would put this game in the category of the Chiefs' regular season matchups and the playoffs. If he goes 0-6, like basically undefeated until it matters most and then 0-6, is this one of those games for Lamar Jackson, Rod? Is this a must-win kind of game for him?
Yeah, I wasn't looking at the regular season games and matchups throughout his short tenure career so far in the National Football League. But you definitely can. When you play against the elite teams in the National Football League, you have to play elite if you want to win. And obviously, we know that quarterbacks get the praise and the worship when teams win, and when they lose, they normally get, even if it's not their fault, they're going to get the blame because it's the only position in the National Football League, in football in general, who has a win-loss record behind it. Yeah. And sometimes it's unfair to that. But Lamar, he does need to play solid football. He needs to understand, and I know he does, what the Steelers are going to try to do to him. They're going to bring pressure from all different looks. They're going to give him what they're going to sugar one way, and they're going to come the other way. And, and if he's not ready for that, it's going to be a long night for him. But I know he will be. Greg Roman and John Harbaugh, they're outstanding coaching staff, just like the Pittsburgh Steelers staff is. I think it's going to come down to the last 2 series, and whoever can make the other team punt, the opposing team will win.
Listen, I appreciate the conversation about the Steelers versus the Ravens. I never understood. It hurt my heart when you left the Steelers and ultimately ended up with the Ravens a couple of years later. Don't get me started with that, Rob Woodson, but that's neither here nor there.
I got a ring, though. I got a ring.
I know you got a ring, but not in the black and gold, but that's all right. That's okay. Here's the deal. We've been talking about the Kansas City Chiefs because I'd be remiss in neglecting to ask a Hall of Famer this question. We've been talking about the Kansas City Chiefs like it's a foregone conclusion that Patrick Mahomes is going back to the Super Bowl because of how elite they are. Whether it's the AFC or somebody from the NFC, who do you believe has the best shot